Hello and welcome to another Hogwarts update. It has been quite a while since the last video, and the reason for that mainly has been because you'll notice things look very different. Hopefully much better as well, because I've spent the last few months learning about Unreal Engine, which is a game engine which many of you will probably be familiar with, and getting the castle into it. Where the reason for this is because it would look so much better with its own terrain, environment, sky, atmospheric fog, and everything that comes with it, global illumination, rather than just floating in space, which it has been for so far. So ultimately the goal has always been to get it into Unreal Engine, just to make it for a much more pleasant viewing experience, and also to make the castle explorable. So after a few months of learning the basics and everything that comes with that, just to get me to a point where I could use the program, I finally felt ready to come back to Hogwarts. So let's get into it. The first thing I learned in Unreal was terrain generation and applying an auto material to it, which is a material that applies different textures to a terrain based on the angle of the slope it's on, giving you a varied look. The terrain for now is just a placeholder. It will look a lot better in the future. The next thing was to import the castle itself and its 5,000 plus objects. I also used a height map to generate, with the terrain in Unreal, the actual real-life location of Hogwarts, Loch Shiel in Scotland. But for now, we'll park that to one side because it currently buries half of the castle, and I will dig that out when I work on the terrain. For now, we're just focusing on the castle itself, as once it was inside Unreal, I had a lot of work to do to optimize the scene and to make improvements that only Unreal Engine could do. One of these is the use of what's called nanite. This is Unreal Engine's ability to render billions of polygons at once on screen. So I decided to use this to work on the walls of Hogwarts. So rather than having a flat surface with a brick texture, actually make each individual brick stick out of the wall using displacement, which I'll show here. Here you can see me re-importing the object I was working on, which I had to do to many hundreds of objects throughout the castle that have this wall texture, replacing it with the new, and also applying collision to the object so I'm not running through walls and falling through floors essentially. this section I wanted to demonstrate more of the smaller detail I went into, mainly lining things up with the brickwork to make it look as though all of these stones were actually laid properly. I wanted to make sure that the castle made more structural sense. Even though they're only small details, they do add up to make a much bigger difference when you look at the whole, adding to that realism. Also, the higher polygon count on the walls has allowed me to apply a slightly different brick texture around the windows just to give that more of a castle look. You can also, in some shots, notice that the brickwork around the windows I've not applied displacement to, they are flat, just to give that more of a carved stone look around the windows, and at certain angles this really stands out quite well with the light interaction, which helps with that overall realism. So what's next? There's a lot. First of all, I'd like to say that there is going to be a link to a presentation video which is just a nice immersive fly through with music, all show no tell, for you to enjoy. That video really is the definitive viewing experience of the castle. After all, this video is more of an explanation video of involving you more in the process. And it just gives you more of an insight really into the process as I go, and I think it does a really good job of getting across just why it's been so long actually since the last video, because it explains everything I've been doing. So what's to come? Quidditch pitch, Hagrid's hut of course, the main front entrance gate that you see in the Half-Blood Prince movie, anything that makes the castle as big as possible basically. I want to do all the film sets and put them inside the castle. Some of the interiors are pretty obvious, like the Great Hall, the Clock Tower, the Transfiguration Classroom, which was actually filmed at Durham Cathedral in their chapter house, part of the inside of Vittorius Magnus with the grand staircase. But then there's other areas that are quite hard to figure out, because the Dark Arts classroom is a great example, because I think it changed location throughout the film, so I'm going to have to sort of figure that out just so that it fits, because to be honest the inside of the castle has never made complete sense. But figuring it all out is all part of the fun really. My ultimate goal is to make this a fully explorable castle inside and outside. Down the line I'd love to sort of play out little events from both from the films and also some from the books as well that didn't make it to film. A good example would be Snape's occlumency lesson with Harry in the potions classroom, and just little excerpts of scenes like that. A really good example of one I'd really like to do would be when Voldemort came back to the castle to apply for the Dark Arts professor role and Dumbledore refused him. I always thought that would be a great scene to actually see. That's just an example of things I'd like to do in the castle down the line. So I'm going to round out the video there. I'd like to thank everyone that watches my videos. I look forward to involving as many people as possible in this journey. It is going to be a long journey. I should be able to structure things better now, so videos will be more frequent because I've learned what I needed to learn in Unreal and I've got more of a structure laid down. I'm planning on getting a video released at the longest every 8 weeks. That gives me enough time to make progress, learn any new skills I need to learn, and just sort of balance it out more. So with that being said, again, a link on the screen to the presentation video, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Cheers.